There's a moment in every life when you realise that comfort has become the enemy. Not the soft kind that rests the body, but the subtle kind that dulls the spirit. This is Shift, it podcasts for those who sense they were made for something more, but find themselves surrounded by noise, distraction, and the polite mediocrity of modern life. Shift is not about motivation, it's about movement, the kind that begins inside you and refuses to stop until it changes the world around you. Over decades of coaching leaders, I've come to see that greatness isn't rare because it's impossible, it's rare because it's uncomfortable. People don't fall short of greatness, they simply never expect it of themselves. This podcast is for those who do. Each series within Shift explore a different dimension of human potential, the discipline of deep work, the courage to lead, the act of radical acceptance, the cost of comfort. These conversations, reflections and provocations are not lectures, they're invitations to think, to feel, and to remember who you are before the world told you to fit in. Shift is for the restless, for the thinkers who still believe in fire, for those who want to lead not just with intellect, but with depth, truth and soul. Listen, reflect, argue if you must, but above all, don't stay still, because life doesn't change because we want it to. It changes when we do. This is Peter Hislop. Welcome to the third and final episode in the expectation of greatness. After striving, after proving, there is a moment of silence where greatness is not achieved but recognised. Today, we'll sit in that quiet. We'll explore what it means to have arrived, not as a reward, but as a state of being. There comes a moment, several in fact, when you look up from the gentle drift of your days and realise you've stopped moving. You're not failing, you're just floating. Polite conversations, respectable outcomes, tidy routines, all the hallmarks of success, and yet a quiet boredom hums underneath. Comfort, that's the word, and comfort, my friends, is the most two-faced assassin you'll ever meet. It never raises its voice, it just pats you on the shoulder and says, "Well done, you're fine, you deserve this, no more needed." It doesn't announce itself. No one wakes and declares, "Today I will surrender my brilliance for comfort." It slips in quietly, disguised as responsibility, routine, even kindness. I just need a break. I'll start again when things get better. It's not the right season, even though perfectly reasonable and perfectly fatal. And before long, the fire that once roared has become a candle, flickering politely on the side. Some of you may know I'm an alcoholic, a sober one now, but there was a long time when people's warnings were just background noise to the symphony of my self-importance. So in the flashing lights of denial, I slid from ambition to existence, and finally to homelessness, cold, wet, hungry, and afraid. Even then, when social workers approached, I'd smile and say, "Nothing to worry about, I've got this." But of course I didn't. I was shrinking. My world, my pride, my breath. My comfort zone had become a cocoon that no longer fitted, but I clung to it all the same. And yet when the last illusion fell away and an angel's voice whispered, "Get up," I did, terrified but moving, which is the only cure for paralysis. Comfort isn't the absence of pain, it's the anaesthetic that numbs it. We sip from denial's first vintage and call it balance. We whisper, "I'm tired, I've done enough, maybe I was never meant to be." They sound like wisdom, but they're actually lullabies for surrender. We call it realism, though it's really pessimism with a better writer. At the marvellous absurdity of being human, we buy mindfulness journals we never open. We alphabetize our spices instead of our priorities. We install meditation apps and then ignore them, but feel spiritually improved just by having them. Avoidance, I've decided, is creativity that's lost its moral compass. If we redirect half that ingenuity, we've solved climate change and organised the garage by Thursday. Stephen Fry once said the great consolation of being human is that we're all in this magnificent muddle together. And isn't that freeing? You don't need perfection, just participation. Eventually comfort collapses under its own flabby logic, and truth barges in sipping impatience. For me, the truth wore the face of an angel who said, enough, get up. And I did. Not grandly, but honestly. And honestly, it turns out, is the oxygen of rebirth. You breathe it, and suddenly your lungs remember that they were made for air, not apology. The courage to begin again doesn't thunder in with trumpets, it whispers, move anyway. It doesn't care if you're ashamed or afraid, only that you're willing. One small defiant step, then the pulse of greatness quickens again. Don't wait for confidence. It's the last one to RSVP. Just begin. Awkwardly, audaciously, beautifully. Greatness isn't lost in failure, it's mislaid in comfort. And the moment you decide to move, you find exactly where you left it. I didn't become a new man. I simply stopped defending the old one. That's the secret. Rebirth is not invention, it's permission. So if you're listening now, wrapped in the gentle mediocrity of comfort, this is your invitation. Get up. Laugh at your excuses. Thank your comfort zone for its service, and then fire it. You've survived too much to live half alive. You've earned your scars, now earn your impact. You are not your calendar, your title, or your latest anxiety. You are the raw material of greatness, and greatness is still waiting for you. Imagine the thrill, the adrenaline of doing something today that terrifies your inner accountant. Make the call, start the idea, walk into the mirror and say, right, we're back. The world doesn't need your caution, it needs your electricity. I began again from wreckage. And if I can crawl from the darkness back into the light, so can you. There is no shame in failing. The only tragedy is deciding the ground is where you belong. Every comfort zone expires, every excuse collapses under its own smallness, and when it does, that's your moment. Step forward, trembling, laughing, unpolished but alive, because that's where greatness waits, not in perfection, but in motion. It's been watching you all along, quietly, patiently, waiting for you to say, I'm not finished. So rise. Reclaim the expectation written into your bones before fear learned your name. Refuse the polite death of comfort. You were built to astonish, to begin again and again and again. And the next time life dares to whisper, why bother, smile and answer, because mediocrity bores me senseless and I was born for greatness. I did, stumbling, terrified, but moving. Step forward, trembling, laughing, unpolished, but alive. Because that's where greatness waits, not in perfection, but in motion. It's been watching you all along, quietly, patiently, waiting for you to say, I'm not finished. So rise, reclaim the expectation written into your bones before fear learned your name. Refuse the polite death of comfort. You were built to astonish. Begin again and again and again. And the next time life dares to whisper, why bother, smile. Remember, because mediocrity bores me. This was the Courage to Begin Again, the final episode in the Expectation of Greatness series. Remember, please, you are not the story of your fall, you are the proof that rising is possible. So go, step into your next beginning with truth, with laughter, and with that magnificent expectation of greatness beating in your chest.